Good day, students. Welcome to part one of the CBEST Mathematics Review. In this installment, I'll be going over questions 1 to 10. And for the CBEST Review document, questions 1 through 15 deal with measurements, statistics, and estimation. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at question number 1. So it says, during a semester, a student receives scores of 76, 80, 83, 71, 80, and 78 on 6 tests. What is the student's average score for the 6 tests? So the formula for average uh, is basically the sum of the elements of the set, sum of elements, divided by the total number of elements in the set, okay? Divided by a number of elements. Now, the elements in this case are the test scores, okay? And then we have 6 elements. So what we're going to do is we're going to compute the sum of all the 6 scores, which are the elements, 76 plus 80 plus 83 plus 71 plus 80 plus 78. And then we're going to divide the sum by the number of scores, or the number of elements in the sets. So since there are 6 tests, we're going to be dividing by 6. Okay, so this is basically how you compute averages. All right, so let's go ahead and compute the sum. First, I'm going to do them in pairs. Let's do 76 plus 80. First, 76 plus 80 is 156. And then let's do the next pair, 83 plus 71. And then if you sum that up, you get 154. And then 80 plus 78. The last two is 158. Now I can easily add these three together. It's not too difficult. 156 plus 154 plus 158. All right, so 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 8, 18, have 8, carry 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1, 16, 6, carry 1. 4 ones add up to 4. Okay, so this whole expression is going to be 468 divided by 6. Okay, the different ways we can divide this, let's just use a long division so that no one gets confused. 468, the top goes under the division symbol, divided by 6. 6 goes into 46 7 times, because 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract that, we have 48. Bring down the 8, of course. 6 goes into 48 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. So our answer, the average of the 6 scores, is clearly 78. So option C is our correct answer. All right, let's move on to question number 2. It says, use the table below to answer the following questions. On the 3 sections of a math test, the student correctly answered the number of questions shown in the table above. What percent of the questions on the entire test did the student answer correctly? Okay, so to get the percentage, it's just a percentage is just another way of expressing a fraction. Okay, so if you can get a fractional expression, that will convert that fraction into decimal and then to percent. Okay, so to get the percent correct, all you just simply do in fractional form first is you're going to divide the number answered correctly, or the number correct, divided by the total number. Okay, total number of questions, okay, number of questions. All right, so we're just gonna compute the sum first, and then we're going to carry out the division part. All right, so how many questions were answered correctly? So let's find that out. So number answered correctly, that's going to be the sum of this column right here, 17 plus 11. Let's do it 2 at a time. It's 28, and then you add 20 to that, and your sum is going to be 48. So 48 were answered correctly. And then the number of questions in all, let's pull this down a little bit. So number of questions, compute another sum. Number of questions is going to be, let's see, the sum of this column right here, the total number of questions, which is 20 plus 15. Add that up, that's 35. And then you add 25 to that. And then you get 60 as your total number of questions, okay? So percent correct. First of all, as a fraction, we're going to have percent correct as a fraction. It's going to be total number answered correctly, which is 48. Scratch that out. Divided by total number of questions. Total number of questions is 60. Okay? So if you want to convert this percentage, this fraction to percent, we have to multiply it by 100. Okay, so that changes it into percent. Okay, so number answered correctly divided by total number of questions. This tells you the fractional expression for the numbers of questions that were answered correctly. And if I multiply by 100, that converts your fraction into a percent. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify this. So zeros cancel out. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Well, let's just divide 6 into 48 so we don't waste time. 6 goes here 1, 6 goes into 48 8 times, and then 8 times 10 is 80. So 80% of the questions were answered correctly. Alright? Alright, so let's take a look at number 3. It says use the diagram below to answer the question that follows. So we have a ruler here and then a bridge. So it says if the actual length of the bridge is 4,200 feet, then what is the scale of the diagram of the bridge? Alright, so when you're taking the CBEST, you have to be really, really careful when you're dealing with units and also measurements, okay? Because if you make the slightest assumption, you might get the question wrong. So you have to be really careful. So some people might just look at this question as, oh, okay, this is 6 right here, so I'm just going to divide 6 by 4,200 and get 700. And that's a trap. That's a wrong answer. You have to be really careful when you're reading units. Never make any assumptions, okay? So if we look at this ruler and the bridge, you notice that the bridge starts from, let's project this bridge, the length of the bridge onto this ruler. This is the starting part of the bridge, and it starts at 1, and then where does it span? It goes as far as to this point right here, to 6. So it goes from 1 to 6. So how long is that? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 units. Okay? So 5 units is equal to 4,200 feet. So you have to be really careful, not 6 units. So 5 units is equal to the length of the bridge, which is 4,200. Then what is 1 unit going to be? Well, to get 1 unit, from 5, I have to divide 5 by 5, right? So divide this by 5, and to preserve equality, we divide that by 5 also, okay? So if you divide that out, you have 1 unit equals, now let's divide 4,200 by 5. I can use long division and just do that. The top goes into the division symbol, 5 out here. 5 doesn't go into 4, 5 goes into 42 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, subtract 2. Bring down a 0, 5 goes in 24 times, and in the last 0, just move it up, 840. So 1 unit is 840 feet, okay? So when you're taking your CBEST, please pay close attention to the measurements, okay? You don't make any assumptions whatsoever, and also the scales and the units, all right? All right, so there you have it. Now let's move on to the next question. All right, so it says, which of the following is most appropriate unit for expressing the weight of a pencil? So if we examine what we have here, which of these units are used for measuring weight? All of them are used for measuring weight, but if we're looking at a solid object, which one is more applicable? Pounds might sound fair. Pounds and ounces look good. Pounds, ounces look good. Quarts, pints, tons. Now this is really, really heavy, so that's not good. Pints is more or less liquid. Quarts is liquid too. Now, out of pounds and ounces, if we're thinking about just one pencil, okay, one pencil, do you think that which of these measurements is the best representation for one pencil? Pounds is a little bit too big, you know. If we're measuring like a box of pencils, you know, a large box of pencils, then we can use pounds. But if we're just looking at one pencil, we have to scale it down a little bit. So ounces is basically the best choice for this option we have here. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at that question 5. It says Ms. Gutierrez needs to order a rope for her gym class of 32 students. Each student will receive a piece of rope that is 5 feet 8 inches long. What is the total length of rope Ms. Gutierrez needs to order for her class? So what we're doing is basically multiplying a rope that's 5 feet and 8 inches long by 32. Okay? So we have 5 feet 8 inches multiplied by 32. Now this is one mistake most people will make. Most people just multiply 5 by 32 and get, let's see, what do? You get 100 and, let's see, 160, and they'll say it's 160 feet and 8 inches. You see the problem with that? It's not just the feet that's being multiplied by 32. You're ignoring the inches. So when you're multiplying, you have to make sure that this 32 is distributed to both measures, the 5 feet and that 32 inches. Okay, so please be careful when doing conversion calculations. So we have 5 times 32, and then we're going to add that to 8 times 32. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. So let's do our multiplication. 32 times 5, 5 times 2, 10, 0, carry 1, 5, 3, 15 plus 1, 6, 16. So 160 feet. And then for the inches, we have 32 times 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 6, carry 1, 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1, that's going to be 25. So it's 160 feet, 256 inches, all right? Okay, let's look at a question that doesn't match anything we have there. So what's the problem? Well, 256 inches can be converted to feet and inches. So how many feet can we get out of this 56 inches? Remember, you have 12 inches in 1 foot. So all we just have to do is we're going to divide 256 by 12. 256 divided by 12 to take out the foot out of the inches, and then whatever the remainder is, we're going to express that as the inches, okay? All right, so 12 goes into 25 two times because 2 times 12 is 24. Subtract that, 1, 6. 12 goes into 16 once. 1 times 12 is 12. Subtract that, and you're left with 4. Okay? All right, so let's see. This tells you that there are 21 inches and 4 feet in 256 inches. Okay? So this is feet, and this, what you have left is inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 21. So this plus this is the same thing as 160 feet plus 21 feet 4 inches. All right. If I add the feet together, I'll have 181 feet and 4 inches. All right. So don't forget to distribute your what you're multiplying by into the 2 units of measure. So our final answer is option D. All right, let's move on to number 6. Okay, number 6, it says use a diagram below to answer the question that follows. What is the total length of the Clear Lake's shoreline? So you have to be really careful here to pay close attention to the question. Because it's shaded, some people might want to start computing the area real quickly, but it's asking us for the length of the lake. So how long is it? Is it of the Clear Lake shoreline? So the length of the shoreline. Okay, so based on how the question looks like, you might be tempted to start looking for the area because it's shaded, but you have to be really careful to ask for the length of the shoreline. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the length of the shoreline. So we're just going to count the number of units of the boundary that encloses the lake. All right, so let's start from here, the bottom right corner. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay? So I just basically went around there like all the way around. All right, so after counting, you might be in a haste to conclude that your answer is 22 miles, and that will be the wrong answer. Okay, so you have to be really careful when you're dealing with the measurement section of the CBEST. It can be really tricky sometimes, okay? If you notice, you have 5 boxes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, being equivalent to 10 miles. So if 5 boxes uh, equals 10 miles, what does that tell you that each box is? So divide by 5, divide by 5. Each box represents, the side length of each box represents 1 mile. I'm sorry, represent 2 miles. Okay? So that represents 2 miles. So every one box is 2 miles. Okay? Alright, so we counted 22 lines all around. So the length of the curl lake is going to be 22 times the adjustment factor, which is 2. 22 times 2, which equals 44 miles. Alright, so you might know how to do the question and you're pretty good at math, but just not ignoring the details can cause you to fall into a trap, okay? So we can clearly see that the answer is option B. All right. Now let's take a look at question 7. It says, use the diagram below to answer the question that follows. A glass tabletop is supported by a rectangular pedestal. If the tabletop is 8 inches wider than the pedestal on each side, what is the perimeter of the glass tabletop? So we're looking for this perimeter right here around the glass tabletop, okay? So it goes 8 inches longer in all directions. In all directions, it's 8 inches longer, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is write down the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle and then see what we can do here. So the perimeter of a rectangle is basically 2 length plus 2 width. All right. So in this case, what is the length of the glass top? The length of the glass top is the length of the pedestal, which is 48, plus what? Plus the 8 um, units that's been added on both sides. Okay, so what am I doing here? Let's say we want to call this this right here the length from here all the way to here. Okay, let's say we want to call that the length of the tabletop. This is L. What is this what is this made up of? It's made up of the 48. From here to here is 48, right? That's 48. But that's not all. You need the 8 upstairs and then the 8 downstairs. So 48 plus the 8 on both ends is 16. Okay, so the length of my pedestal, I'm sorry, my glass tabletop is going to be 52 inches. All right. How about the width? How wide is it? Well, the width of my glass tabletop spans from the left to the right. Okay, and we know that it's going to be made up of multiple constituents. You have 36 on the center, which is the length of the pedestal, but you also have 8 units here and another 8 units there. Okay, so the entire length of I'm sorry, the width. This right here is the width. Okay, we have L is already given by 52, so we need the width. The width is going to be 36, the length of the width of the pedestal plus the 8 on both sides plus 16 also. Okay, so that gives you 64. Now to find the perimeter, now let's go back to the original formula that we were using, perimeter formula. Since we now have the length and the width of the glass tabletop, it's simply you double the length, which is the left and the right sides. This length plus this length is 2W plus you double the width, which is the top and the bottom, top and bottom. Oh, something is wrong here. Oh, let's see. Oh, I interchanged my results. Let me switch it around real quick. See. 48 plus 16 is 64, and then 36 plus 16 is 52. Okay, excellent. All right, so you just double the length and then double the width, and then that will basically give us what the perimeter is. Okay, so if you multiply this by 2, this is still correct because we can switch the order around. If you multiply this by 2, you get 104. That's doubling the width. And then if you double the length, which is the left and the right side, 2 times 64, that's 128. And then we add it together, 104 plus 128. You get 232 inches as your final answer. Okay? So our answer for question 7 is E. All right. Sorry about the mix-up there. All right, let's move on to question number 8. It says, Rob uses 1 box for every 5 days to feed his cats. Approximately how many boxes of cat food does he use per month? All right, so this one is good to set up a proportion, um, but you want to be consistent with your units, okay? So let's say that you want to set it up as follows. You want to call the numerator boxes, okay? And then you want to call the denominator, days. All right, so you have 1 box for 5 days. Okay, that was the first fraction. And then next, it says approximately how many boxes. So let's call that x. X is the number of boxes that we do not know divided by, wait a minute, per month. Per month, how many days are there in a month? Between 30 and 31, right? So we can't put 1 month here because the unit has already been set to days. So we must convert 1 month into days. So 1 month is around, let's say 30, so let's use 30. All right, so we have this ratio set up. Days on the bottom, boxes on the top. Now to get x by itself, what do? Simply multiply both sides by 30. This proportion you have set up right here. Multiply both sides by 30, the 30s cancel out. And then you have 30 over 5 equals x. And if you divide 30 by 5, what do you get? 30 over 5 is 6. Okay, so it's roughly 6 days. I mean, yeah, 6 boxes. So our answer is option letter D. Okay, let's move on to the next question, question 9. All right, so it says Tara can develop 2 rolls of film in about 18 minutes. At this rate, how long will it take her to develop 8 rolls of film? So this is similar to the kind of question we did before. We want to set up a proportion. Let's say number of rolls for the numerator, and then time in minutes. You have to be careful with the units, okay, as the denominator. Okay, so we have 2 rolls per 18 minutes, okay? And then we ask, this is how long will it take her to develop 8 rolls? So 8 rolls in X minutes, because I don't know what it is, all right? Okay, so to solve this, we can cross multiply. If we cross multiply to solve this expression, well, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can do this by inspection. You notice that you multiply the numerator by 4 to get from 2 to 8. So you can do the same at the bottom. Multiply this by 4, which is 72 minutes, which comes out to 1 hour and 12 minutes. Or you can do it algebraically. Okay? So let's do it algebraically, assuming that we don't want to use a shortcut. So to do it algebraically, I'll first multiply. I have 2x equals 80 plus 64, 144. And then I divide both sides by 2. And then I get x equals 72 minutes. All right. So let's convert that to hours and minutes because we have it expressed as hours and minutes here, and this is not an option. So we know that there's an hour and an hour is 60 minutes. So if we subtract 1 full hour from that, which is 60 minutes, we're going to be left with 12 minutes. All right. So our solution is going to be 1 hour, because we subtracted just 1/6 set of 60 minutes from our solution, and we're left with 12 minutes. All right. So it's going to be 1 hour and 12 minutes. So the answer is option B. Okay. So if you can solve it by inspection, go ahead. But if it's a little bit more complicated, like you have decimals and things like that, and you can do it mentally, just use the algebraic processes to help make your problem-solving process easier. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at question 10. This is statistics, so dealing with probability here. It says Liliana has a bag of marbles. The bag contains 18 black, 15 red, 11 blue, and 8 white. Liliana randomly takes a red marble from the bag and leaves the marble on the table, so there's no replacement here. What is the probability that she will next take a red or a white marble from the bag? So anytime you see or, that tells you an operation in statistics, and the operation for or is addition. When you see and, you multiply, okay? So the question is, what is probability of red plus or probability of white? Okay? All right, so you know that the probability of an event basically is desired outcomes reside versus the total. All right, that's the probability formula. So we're gonna do these two independently, and then we're gonna add up our answers. Okay, so probability of red is the total number of red divided by the total number of marbles that there are. So how many reds there are there? Remember, she already took one out, and there were 15 before, so we're left with 14. Okay, so what is the total number of marbles? Marbles, total marbles. How do we do that? Well, just add the number of marbles we have. Okay, so we have red is 14. Why I use 14? Because she already took one out. Okay, so 14 plus 11, that's 25. And then let's add on the 8. 25 plus 8, that's let's see, 3 carry 1, 33. And let's not forget the 18 black marbles plus 18. 1 carry 1, 51 marbles in all. So probability of red is 14 divided by 51. Okay, because that's the total, considering the fact that one marble has been taken out. Or how about probability of white? How many whites are there? There are 8 white marbles. And how many total? 51. Okay, so probability of red or white, P of red or P of W just means that we sum this individual probability. So it's 14 over 51 plus 8 over 51. Okay, and then your final answer is going to be 22 over 51. Our answer is option letter D. Okay, so there you have it. But thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Feel free to subscribe to my channel by clicking up here so you can get the updates to future installments to this CBEST review series and other cool clips. And please post the comments to let me know what you think about this presentation. More clips can be found on mathgotserved.com. Thanks again and have a wonderful day.